How can you get 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 leads on a monthly basis via cold email outreach in 2025? That is what we're gonna talk about today. And doing cold email outreach has evolved tremendously in the past 5 years. At Optimum 7, we've been doing cold email outreach for the past maybe 8 years or so. And what we used to do 8 years ago, and I have articles on this. If you actually go to Google and if you type how to do mass email outreach, you're going to see my articles from 8 years ago. What we did back then and what we do now is completely different, and that's what we will cover today. So, for all the people out there that tell you cold email outreach does not work, bullshit. Cold email works like a charm, but it's not as easy as it used to be. The reason is ISPs are smarter, internet service providers are smarter. It's very hard to fall into the inbox. Once you fall into the inbox, once your deliverability rates are high, it's very difficult to get somebody to pay attention to your email because everybody's doing it. Just think about it. You as the audience, how many irrelevant emails do you get on a daily basis? Especially if you run any kind of business, if you're a business owner. I would say on average, maybe you get 10 to 15 emails. Irrelevant pitches, people trying to pitch you HR products, people trying to pitch you swag products, people trying to pitch you marketing. What are you really going to pay attention to? So it's become incredibly difficult. If you get to send the email in the infrastructure, you have to get to the inbox. If you get to the inbox, you have to prompt a response. If you prompt a response, then you have to turn that cold lead into a warm lead, then a hot lead. Then your sales cycle needs to be perfect. Your pitch and your offer needs to be perfect. It is difficult, but not impossible. So we start with the infrastructure. If you want to send thousands of emails on a monthly basis, where your response rate should be about 5% to 20%. And when I say response rate, I'm not talking about all the people that say, I'm not interested. I'm talking about positive response rate. Average positive response rate today we get on our cold email campaigns is about 15 to 20%. It's a very realistic number. So first, you have to make sure that you have the right infrastructure. Now, we use smartlead.ai for the emails that we send out, but there's a very specific way we set up all of these emails. You have to basically possibly set up hundreds of emails on different ISPs all around across maybe 25 domain names to make sure that from each domain name, each email, you send only a handful number of emails. And SmartLead allows you to structure that. The second thing that you have to pay attention to is deliverability. The number one rule of deliverability is you have to send emails to the right email address. So the infrastructure or the tools that you use to validate those email addresses is extremely important. Now, when I say ISP, internet service provider, remember, we're talking about the different types of email providers. Actually, it's also email service provider. You're talking about the Gmails, the Hotmails, the MSNs. Right? ISP is the old form of saying it. ESP is the new form of saying it. To validate the email addresses, you have to make sure that you use tools like zero bounce. It is essential that you don't send emails to incorrect email addresses, and that's very, very important. As a matter of fact, if you're sending cold email outreach, it doesn't matter if you're sending to the people in your CRM or if you're sending to people you've never sent before. You still want to validate those email addresses because people change jobs, people change URLs, people rebrand. The fact that my email is my first name at mycompanyname.com today does not mean that that's going to be the case 7 days from now or 7 months from now. So email verification before you send emails is very, very important. Once you have this entire infrastructure of different email addresses and domains, then you want to make sure that you warm up the domains and the email addresses. Now, the warm-up process is extremely important because it makes the difference between how many emails are bouncing and how many emails are going into spam box. Bounce means it doesn't even get to them. Like if you suck at this and if you set up the wrong infrastructure, your email is not even going to be delivered. Forget about falling into the spam box. It won't even be delivered. Then if it's delivered, the option is, are you going to the spam folder or are you going to the inbox? And to go to the inbox, one of the first things that you can do is hyper-personalization. Now, 8 years ago, hyper-personalization was hello first name. Today, hyper-personalization is when AI goes and researches your company, your URL, the technology is on in your URL, and the different infrastructures of where your brand was mentioned, what kind of press release was sent, what kind of products and services are on your website, what is the most highlighted product on your website, and drafting a hyper-personalized copy, leveraging AI so that you prompt a response from your prospect. Now, one of the very essential things to even be able to hyper-personalize is that you have to nail down your ICP, your ideal customer profile, or your super consumer profile. At Optimum 7, we do business with industrial companies. My ICP is any industrial company, any kind of manufacturer, distributor in the United States that does between $3 million and $250 million. My sweet spot is anybody that's doing $10 million to $30 million. I know exactly how many companies exist in that ICP, what kind of technologies they use, which locations in the United States they primarily operate in, and probably 20 other data points. I have these lists already compiled. It's not a lot of people, but it is a segmented audience nonetheless. You have to do the same for your own business, for your own customer base. And if you don't do that, then the rest of the infrastructure doesn't really work. This is not about having the right infrastructure, the right technology. This is really a combination of things. You could have the best infrastructure, but if you send shitty emails, it's not gonna work. If you have the best email copy and you don't have the right infrastructure, it's not gonna work. So it's all of these things combined: infrastructure, hyper-personalization, right ISP, verified email addresses, leveraging AI, and those are some of the steps that you need to go through to make sure that this actually works. Then after you do all of that, let's say you set up the infrastructure, the copies, the ISP, etc., the angle is very, very important. If you are sending cold emails to all the people that are on WordPress, telling them that you want to sell them a new WordPress design, that's irrelevant. It's too broad of an angle. The angle needs to be very, very specific. And it needs to address a very specific problem that you know your ICP is going through. For example, if I had the cure to cancer, I have the cure to cancer, right? I should be rich. Well, nobody knows about it. I would have to have people know about the cure to cancer. Now, if I specialize in one type of cancer, let's say skin cancer, I have the cure to skin cancer. The success rate is going to be a lot higher. But if I have the cure to skin cancer and then I'm sending emails to a bunch of people that suffer from acne or a skin rash, it doesn't work. They don't have cancer. So even if I have this incredibly valuable service or solution, my ICP is incorrect, or my ICP is not optimized. Yes, people with skin problems, but it's not skin cancer. So it is really, really essential for you to nail down that ICP. And once you nail that down, the angle is very, very important. If you reach out to people and if you say, I got the cure to skin cancer, they might not believe you. So we do have this, by the way. We have clients that provide incredible services, incredible results, but in cold email, people would not believe them. Just like I reach out to you on an email, imagine this, and I say, I can get you 500 leads in the next 60 days. Would you believe me? Probably not. If you have been in business for decades, you are not. If you emailed me, I wouldn't believe you. But if you restructure that copy in a manner where you hyper-personalize, you find out about my business, you find out my competitors, and you create a series of emails that slowly nurture me to believe that you might have a solution for me, then I might actually believe you. And that's exactly what this cold email outreach powered by AI does. Now, let's say we built this infrastructure. Let's say we figured out how to get to the inbox. Let's say we wrote the best copy, the best hyper-personalized, AI hyper-personalized copy and cadences, and we're getting the leads. We're getting people, yes, I'm interested. Yes, I would like to know more. Yes, can we get on a phone call? You're not done. That's not enough, because these leads are cold or warm leads at best. Cold leads, warm leads do not buy. hot leads by. So your job, or the job of your sales department now, is to turn those cold leads to warm, your warm leads to hot. How are you going to do that? Your sales cycle needs to be optimized. You have to be on top of those people. So it's very essential that your smart lead platform is integrated with your CRM. And it's very important that your sales team is on this. When somebody replies, you gotta call them within, I wanna say 46 hours. You want to give them email responses and touch points every 2 days, every 3 days, until they tell you to basically fuck off. That's what it's gonna take. But here's the beautiful part, and there are different optimizations for this. If you can get 100 to 300 people to say, yes, I am interested in what you wanna show me on a monthly basis, you're gonna make a lot of money. It might not close in the first 1 to even 3 months, just because you're warming that up. But as that list gets bigger and bigger and bigger, as the number of emails you send get bigger and bigger and bigger, you're gonna realize a couple of things. It's interesting because all the SEO guys know what I'm talking about. You're gonna get more searches on your brand name. You're gonna get more searches on your name and your last name, depending on, because people get this email and they literally go to Google and type Duran Insi. Let me see who this guy is. He's sending me an email. Or let me see who Optimum 7 is. They're sending me an email. And they will go to your website and they will check out your website. And we even see that in our site intelligence technologies. Like, we'll send emails to a bunch of people and then there's no link on that email, but we see them that they visited our website afterwards. There's no link on the emails. If you send a link on an email, you're gonna fall into the spam folder. It's not gonna be delivered. So this is going to significantly increase your sales pipeline and even your brand visibility. Now, who would have thought that cold email can increase your brand visibility? Absolutely can, but you have to segment and send to the right ICP. Now, what did we discuss so far? The infrastructure, the deliverability, the hyper-personalization, the segmentation, and then the responses and the sales cycle and the closing part of things is very, very important. This is a full execution. And if you miss one step, it's not gonna work. And this is probably why people say cold email doesn't work, because they are missing one part. Now, the last piece of this is actually being able to scale. Because if your ICP is only, let's say, 50,000 companies in the United States, if you're doing B2B, I can send 50,000 emails with a nice warm-up structure within 4 months. And then we're done. We sent all of those emails, we're out of the list, right? No, because then it comes to a point of, okay, what are your angles? With what angles are you reaching out to those people? And then there are technologies where we can create lookalike audiences. Like, yes, your ICP is 50,000 people, but here are all the other people that might actually be dipping into that service or that product. So cold email outreach is not about the infrastructure or the technology anymore. It's about productization. The cold email outreach agency or the service that you're using needs to understand every single intricacy about your business. Because if they don't, then they can't create the angles. They cannot create the different products or services that relate to other products and services that might be valuable. And they will not be able to really nail down that ICP and that message and that angle. So just know that cold email outreach is possible in 2025. That being able to get hundreds of leads from cold email is possible, but it has to be executed the right way. And this service is not cheap. If somebody's telling you, I'll do that for you for $500, no way. The technology is expensive. The email verification is expensive. The data enhancement is expensive. And that's another thing we didn't talk about. I can grab all the contacts in your CRM. Let's say you have 50,000 contacts. I can enhance that data in an incredible fashion where you're going to say, holy shit, I didn't even know that all these people existed in my database. And that's what companies don't do. Most companies, especially industrial businesses, they already have the customer base in their system. They don't know how to send emails, how to segment this data, how to enhance this data. John Doe resides in Lubbock, Texas, let's say, and I can find out not only his validated information, his email information, what he likes, what he's into, what kind of sports, how many mentions does he have online, which college he graduated from, how many employees does the company have, which locations are the employees at. I can find incredible amounts of data on John Doe. Now, some of you might think, all right, well, how is that useful? Well, if you can do that for hundreds of thousands of contacts, and if you could cross-reference that data to other numbers of data, then you're coming up with this elaborate infrastructure of data where you can pick and choose certain segmentations that are going to reply to you 90%, 95%, 99%. And that's where the money is at. It's really testing we're not just sending one email. It's really about testing the different angles and finding the exact type of micro ICP that responds to that message at higher rates. And I didn't even mention the fact that you could do multiple things with this. Sending cold email works, but if you warm up that audience list, let's say you're gonna send cold emails to 50,000 people. We have the list, it's 50,000 people. I can enhance that data and we can create audiences on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and we can show your company's brand name, spending only a few $1,000s to them for a matter of weeks or maybe months. By the time you send them an email, they already seen your brand, they already know who you are because they have probably consumed 10, 15, 20 videos about your brand. So the odds of them reaching out to you are a lot higher because they're gonna be like, I know this brand, I've seen these guys around, I know that name, I know Duran. He's been showing me all these videos for the past few months. And that's when you know you made it, when people that you send an email to or you call tell you, I see you guys everywhere. Well, I know because there's a reason for that. I have structured my marketing to be that. So retarget first to the custom audiences and then email. Now here's the last step. If you have SDRs, prospectors, after you send the email, a few days after, call them. Pick up the phone and say, hey, I sent you an email, did you see? Now, if you combine retargeting, email, and cold, this is the formula that works the best. You will make a lot of money if you can combine this and if you can actually execute the right way. So, if you're interested in doing any kind of cold email outreach and you want to do lead gen through cold email outreach, this works 99% of the time for B2B businesses though. If you're a D2C company, it's not worth it because this is an expensive technology. It's not cheap. It costs thousands of dollars every single month. But if your average order volume or if the lifetime value of your customer is $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000, you're going to bank. If you have any questions, let us know.